Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're aiming to cut through the usual complexity. We're giving you a real shortcut to understanding something essential.
That's right.
We're diving into the user and membership registration for Bullion Limited. Okay, let's get into it then. First things first. Before you even think about membership, you need to be a basic user. So on the Bullion Limited site, how do you kick that off?
Right. So you've got two main ways in.
Okay. You can click Login and then look for a Register Here link. Or sometimes there's just a direct register button on the main page.
And either way gets you to the same place.
Yep, both lead to the same sign-up form. Pretty standard stuff initially.
Yeah.
Name, surname, email, and an international cell number. So for listeners in South Africa, remember that +27 prefix.
Got it. And then creating a username and password, the usual drill.
Exactly. Choose something secure, confirm it.
Okay, so you fill that in, hit submit. What happens right then?
Well, what's interesting is how quickly they jump into verification. Straight away.
Oh, right away.
Yeah. You'll get a message saying registration was successful, but you need to check your email. There'll be an email with a big verify link you need to click.
So email verification is step one, even before logging in properly.
Precisely. It's not just ticking a box.
Yeah.
It's their first security layer, making sure that email address is definitely yours. It secures how they communicate with you right from the start.
Makes sense. A proactive step. Definitely. Once you click that link, your email's verified, and then you can log in with the username and password you just set up.
Okay, so email verified, logged in for the first time. Are we done with the setup?
Not quite. That just gets you in the door as a basic user. Now, the system guides you to complete your personal profile. It's usually done through a series of tabs or pages.
Right. What's first?
The personal detail tab. You'll confirm your full name, add a title, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But here's a neat feature when you put in your ID number or passport number.
Yeah.
The system often autofills your gender and date of birth. And importantly, it checked if the ID number itself seems valid.
Oh, that's quite smart. Saves a bit of typing and adds a check.
Exactly. You can also upload a profile picture if you want. Totally optional.
Yeah.
And choose your language preference. They offer Afrikaans, but we're seeing English as the default here.
Okay, personal details done. What's the next hurdle?
The next really crucial step is cell phone verification.
Right. You mentioned needing the number earlier.
Yes, now you have to actually verify it. There'll be a verify button. You click that. They send you an SMS code. You type that code back into the website. Once that's accepted, your cell number is officially registered and verified on the system.
And this is important because
It's another security layer, and it's often mandatory to proceed. You might find the continue button stays grayed out, like disabled, until you complete this step.
okay. So it gates your progress. Make sure your details are right if that button isn't working.
Exactly. And you might see options for an alternative email or contact number too, usually optional extra. And speaking of details, the next tab is usually address information.
Okay. Your physical address.
Yep, you start typing it in, and often Google Maps will try to find it and autocomplete. You can usually override that if it gets it wrong, though.
And this is still just for the basic user profile, right? Not membership yet.
Correct. Still foundational user info. A verified address is another piece of that KYC puzzle.
Got it. What about documents? You mentioned needing ID earlier.
Right, the Documents tab is next. This is key. They make it pretty clear what's needed.
How so?
You'll likely see required documents highlighted, maybe in pink or red if they're still outstanding. Things like your ID document and proof of address.
Okay, ID and proof of address, standard stuff.
Yep. And then there might be a section for additional documents, maybe grayed out, which is just space for other things you or an admin might need later.
And when you upload the required ones,
their status should change. Often turns green. The last hurdle, before you're officially a fully registered USIR, is accepting the terms and conditions.
The T&Cs, the fine print.
So now that you're logged in as a verified user, you'll look for something like My Accounts. Initially, it'll probably be empty.
Makes sense.
You'll then likely see an option like Open Account. Click that. The system might ask who the account is for, and for a personal account, you'd select Myself.
Okay, myself.
Yeah.
And does it make you enter everything again?
Hopefully not. A good system, like this seems to be, will pull in all that user info you just entered, name, address, etc. Saves a lot of hassle.
That's good. What else do you need to add for membership specifically?
There will be some new fields, things like your VAT status. Are you registered for VAT or not?
Okay, tax stuff.
Yep. And then there's that interesting referral section you mentioned.
Right, the commission thing.
Exactly. It's usually optional, but if someone referred you, this is where you'd put their details in. You might select them from a list, and then you specify the commission percentage they get on your deposits.
Interesting incentive. We should maybe circle back to that. What else? Bank details.
Yes, the bank details section. Now, this might be optional at the opening stage, but you'll need it eventually to withdraw funds, obviously.
Sure.
If you do enter your bank details here, remember you'll also need to upload proof of those bank details back in the documents section.
Okay, so another document upload potentially goes alongside the ID and proof of address.
Correct. It all lives together in that documents area.
So VAT, referrals, bank details sorted. What's the final step for membership application?
Predictably, another set of terms and conditions. These ones are specific to becoming a member and opening an account.
More T&Cs.
Yep. Got to read them, understand them, check the box, and hit submit. That's the final step to apply for membership.
And once you hit submit on those terms, what happens then? What do you see?
Okay, two things, mainly. First, you should get an email pretty much straight away confirming they've received your membership application.
Good. Confirmation is always nice.
Definitely. And second, back on the website, in that My Accounts section, you'll now see your name listed, but the status won't be active yet. It'll likely say something like member awaiting activation.
Awaiting activation, so still not quite there.
Not quite. You won't have a membership number assigned yet. You might see the referrer's name if you added one, and the account value or member interest will probably show as 0 for now.
Okay, awaiting activation. That clearly implies there's another step needed to, well, activate it. What triggers that?
Right. This is the final, really crucial step to get your membership live and actually start participating. You'll get another email explaining this.
And what does the email say? What's the trigger?
The trigger is your first deposit. This is key.
Okay. You need to fund the account.
Exactly. And there's a specific breakdown for that first deposit. The first $350 typically goes to cover the actual membership fee.
Right, the cost of joining.
Yep. And then the rest of that initial deposit, the balance, gets allocated and goes into the investment pools you want. It could be gold, silver, crypto.
How do they know where you want it allocated?
Good question. The process here indicates you'd need to specify that, likely by sending an email request to their info address, info@bullionlimited.co.za. You tell them how you want that initial balance split. So, funds transferred correctly, reference correct. Then what? Then you wait just a little bit. Activation isn't instant. It usually takes about 1 to 2 business days after they confirm receipt of the funds.
Okay, a short processing time.
Yes. And once it's activated, your status changes in My Accounts. And crucially, your account value will update to reflect the allocated funds from your deposit minus that membership fee.
And then you're fully in, ready to go.
Then you're a fully active member.
Okay, that covers personal membership activation. But, some people manage money for entities like trusts or companies. Does Bullion Limited cater for that? It seems like a more complex area.
They do, yes. And you're right, it adds another layer. This shows they're set up for more sophisticated users, too, not just individuals.
So how does that work? If I need an account for my company, for example?
Well, back when you click Open Account, instead of selecting Myself, you'd choose the option for another entity or similar wording.
Okay, another entity.
But here's the big caveat. You personally must be legally authorized to act on behalf of that entity. You have to be a trustee for a trust or a director for a company, for instance. You can't just open an account for any random company.
Makes sense. Legal authority is needed. Does the process look similar otherwise?
Generally, yes. It follows a similar flow of pages or tabs. It will still pull in your personal user information that you already provided.
Right, because you are the representative accessing it.
Exactly. But then you'll need to provide information about the entity, things like the entity's website address, if it has one, and its VAT status.
Okay, entity specifics. What about referrals and banking for the entity?
Same logic applies. There'll be a referrals tab where you can add details if the entity's membership was referred, including the commission percentage, and a bank tab where you must enter the entity's bank account details, not your personal ones.
Right, entity's bank account. This sounds like it's going to need more documents, too.
Oh, definitely. This is where the compliance requirements really ramp up. It gets much more specific.
Okay, what kind of extra documents are we talking about?
So, alongside your personal ID and proof of address, which they often ask for, again, just to be thorough.
Right.
You'll need proof of bank details for the entity's account. You'll also need proof of the entity's registered address.
Entity's address proof. Okay, that's different from my personal one, potentially?
Could be, yes.
Okay.
And then the really crucial one, the new document specific to entities.
Yes.
It's a formal resolution. If it's a trust, it's a resolution by the trustees. If it's a company, a resolution by the directors. And this resolution must explicitly state that you are appointed as the authorized representative to open and manage the account on behalf of the entity.
What's the final click for an entity account?
It mirrors the personal account again. The final step is accepting the terms and conditions, but this time there'll be the specific T&Cs for entity membership.
Right, tailored to companies or trusts.
Exactly. You accept those, submit the application.
And then, same, awaiting activation.
Pretty much. You'll be redirected back to My Accounts. You'll see the new entity account listed there, likely with that awaiting activation status. And just like before, you should receive an email confirming the application and outlining any next steps, which would again involve that initial deposit, but this time from the entity's bank account.
Got it. Wow, okay. That really covers the whole spectrum, doesn't it? From just signing up as a basic user, getting your personal membership active, and even navigating the extra steps for representing a company or trust.
It's quite comprehensive, yes.
Well, thank you for walking us through all that, a really insightful deep dive. We hope this has given all of you listening a valuable shortcut to understanding the Bullion Limited registration process from start to finish. Thanks for joining us.